You know what they always say, a key to a manager's heart is through their bullpen. Well, is that right? Well, we'll talk about this and more on tonight's Locked On Astros podcast.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chansey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros. We hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman, and my co-host is Brett Chansey, and we hope that you make us part of your daily routine, whether it's on YouTube. Go and subscribe to us. Go and make us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go ahead and check us out. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So I know that we're kind of looking while we're waiting to see who goes to the World Series and then who wins the World Series. We're kind of looking at what's the state of the Astros positions right now, state of union, so to speak. And so right now, the Astros pitching, it wasn't really an issue in 2025. Yes, the bullpen wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst in baseball either. So there's definitely some holes in Astros bullpen, but Dana Brown did a good job of filling those holes. So what is the state of the Astros bullpen right now behind Josh Hader, Bryan Abreu? What's the depth of the farm system right now? And what external free agents are there out there? I know there's a lot of them. So guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. So let's get started with who's in-house. I know that Josh Hader, he definitely had a comeback season last year, but recovering from that shoulder surgery, I know that there's a chance that if the Astros made the playoffs, he would have been back in the bullpen, but there was no guarantee that was going to happen. So is the shoulder injury going to be something that's going to hinder his performance in 2026? This was the first time outside of COVID that this dude has ever hit the IL. So this is a situation that's worth monitoring over the offseason. How does he feel? How is he recovering? And this is something that would be good to kind of monitor because I think the Astros bullpen was not the same without him. Bryan Abreu is a good setup guy. As a closer, he just didn't have the same type of stuff. There's some games where he went out there, got the job done. There's some games where he just looked like a guy. And so Bryan Abreu, otherwise, if he's the setup guy, he's one of the best in baseball. And we saw that again last year. So you have two guys that are pretty much penciled in to the Astros bullpen. Then you have a bunch of other guys. So it depends on what the Astros want to do over the offseason. I know we had some rising stars in this past season, and of course the diamond in the rough that Dana Brown, James Click, Jeff Luhnow, whoever the Astros GM seems to be, they always seem to find one of these guys. But they did find some of those guys this past year. So let's go ahead and look at the Astros relieving depth right now. So Josh Hader, of course, Bryan Abreu, you got Brian King, Steven O'Kurt, Anel De Los Santos is under contract one more year. Bennett Souza, he wasn't as good as he was the year before, but he still had a 2.84 ERA. I guess he was a little bit better than I thought he was. Caleb Ort, he had a 4.89 ERA, but at times when he was on, he seemed to be a pretty good pitcher. The other times he just seemed to be a guy. But and then you also have Lance McCullers or Nate Pearson, whoever they decide to put in the bullpen versus the rotation. I think the plan is for Nate Pearson to go into the rotation as of right now, unless they go out and get somebody else that's just not a reclamation project. So Nate Pearson could end up back in the bullpen. But last year he had a 920 OPS. That's 680th overall of all the relievers in baseball. So that was a small sample size, 14.2 innings pitched. He had 4.30 strikeouts per 9 innings. 6.14 walks per 9 innings. So I know that there's more than meets the eye with him. So you have to kind of look behind that and know that the Astros tend to turn around certain pitchers. Like a lot of these guys were DFA'd by other teams or put on waivers. Like Bennett Souza was put on waivers by the Tigers in 2023. He's had a decent career with the Astros. Caleb Ort by the Orioles in 2024. Also, Stephen Okert was a free agent in 2024. And, of course, De Los Santos last year in 2025. So these are all guys that were picked up and basically put in the Astros bullpen and played key roles, especially down the stretch when Josh Hader went on the IL. And so, of course, there's other guys that you can look at that had success in the Astros bullpen. I know John Rooney was a late add, but he had elbow surgery. He's probably going to be out for a majority of next season. You had some guys like Brandon Walter, who's mostly a starter, but he had Tommy John surgery. Hayden Wojcicki was a starter, Tommy John surgery. Ronel Blanco, Tommy John surgery. Luis Garcia, Tommy John surgery again. So those are all guys that the Astros have lost. So you got that type of depth. But if you're looking at who the Astros have right now, it's definitely they have some guys that can help. Keane showed at times that he's more than just a lefty reliever. He was a great addition by the Astros. Okert, at times, he could be a pretty good pitcher. Souza was the guy that was kind of a big find for the Astros. And also Jaden Murray. Let's not forget about Jaden Murray. He kind of came out of nowhere. And so Jaden Murray was a good pickup for the Houston Astros in 2025. So he will be around. So these are some guys that the Astros have. I know that Colton Gordon could also be a reliever. Any starter that the Astros have could go in the bullpen for a little bit. Let's say Lance McCullers does go in the bullpen. He does have the velocity. He does have the wicked breaking stuff. In short stints, he could be a good reliever. So does he adjust to that role? So that's the question. There's so many question marks about this bullpen outside of the top two guys. And I would say maybe Okert. He showed some signs last year. Souza showed some signs. De Los Santos showed some signs. But there's no guy that says, yes, in a close game, that's my guy. And that's the problem with this Astros bullpen is they don't have that shutdown guy outside of Bryan Abreu and Josh Hader. That's why this bullpen was so liable down the stretch when Josh Hader hit the IL. And so without their closer, Hader, this team is just another bullpen. I know that they still somehow found a way to win some games down the stretch, and we'll see. But so Souza get a pitch after his 2026 after his injury. What injury did he have? Maybe I thought he was pitching towards the end, but we'll have to look at that later. But there's definitely a lot of what ifs. Like, are these guys recovering from injuries? Like, I don't even know about Souza. I guess he had an injury towards the end of the season, but it just so many question marks. So do the Astros have enough right now to maintain a bullpen? And who do they have down in the farm? Do they have people that can fill in? AJ Blueball, he did a great job. But I think the Astros are going to keep him stretched out down in AAA, if not in the actual Astros rotation, because the dude, he dealt. He was also a good long reliever, so he could be a guy that could go to bullpen. JP France is another option. Then you have the next wave of talent. You have Ethan Pecko, Miguel Ulloa. You have Jose Fleury, who might not be quite ready, but Trey Dombrowski, then Tyler Ivey. Then you have some guys in AA that could go ahead and jump up a little bit, like James Hicks is playing in the Arizona Fall Leagues right now. Anderson Brito, they could kind of leapfrog some guys. So these are some guys that watch out for. So we'll talk more about the farm system next. Guys, thank you for making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Go and make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. Hey guys, let's go ahead and talk about football. The football season's here. We're all excited about the Texans, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus picks. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and you'll unlock $300 in bonus picks to use across the app. Whether it's a get for the Texans, how many touchdowns are they going to get, how many sacks they're going to get, whatever. You can have all the different parlays. You can have the live bets during a game, the parlays. Whether you're a casual fan or just love diving into stats, FanDuel makes game day experience more better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. So let's go ahead and talk about Monarch. Monarch is just the best way to know where your money is. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they might be worth. Between 401k, savings accounts, investments, you might be leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one easy-to-use tool. How does this help you? It's helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, and get a better handle on my investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. By the way, I'm an ex-math teacher. I love spreadsheets, and in my current job, we do spreadsheets all the time. But I get to see what my partner's doing, spending, and Monarch offers all these different visuals, and you just know where the money is no matter when. So don't let this financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Go ahead and make this first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go and check us out. So I know that on this episode, we're talking about the bullpen, and we're talking about what the Astros need to do. And I know that Milo brings up Yola with his walk rate. This is a big issue. I know this is something that Brett has brought up, and most of these young guys, this is the reason why they don't rise quickly, is because they do struggle with command, and they're just trying to refine their stuff. You have some guys that we've talked to that are trying to add like a changeup. Even Jason Alexander's trying to add some pitches over the offseason. Everybody's trying to tweak what they do and try to make themselves more attractive to the Astros down to maybe for 2026 or beyond. But the Astros, they don't have anybody that, like I said, outside of Abreu and Hader, you don't have that lockdown guy. And I'm sure there's some guy down to AAA that can throw hard, have some command, and who can really turn some heads in 2026. Ethan Pecko is the guy that kind of really, really stands out to me. He's a guy that's probably going to make his debut some point in 2026. I know a lot of people point to him as a starter, and they might keep him stretched out, but I think we all thought the same thing with AJ Blueball in 2025, but he kind of was a transitional reliever starter sometimes. So it's just a matter of what the Astros need. I know Tyler Ivy's back in Astros farm system, so he could be another guy that's already made his debut. So he can, he was a third round draft pick back in 2017. But this is a guy that the Astros could also bring in at some point as well. But there's JP France is probably going to be a guy that's going to be either in the bullpen or probably in the rotation, depending on what type of spring training he has. But the guy that really stands out to me, who's probably going to have the most success in the bullpen, is probably going to be Colton Gordon. I think that especially if the Astros go out and get a big-time starter, I just don't see a big time opportunity for Colton Gordon to get a lot of playing time in 2026 as a starter. I mean, granted, who would have figured all the different injuries they had last year? But I think that the Astros probably see him as a lefty reliever, somebody that can come in and pitch 1 inning, pitch 3 innings, something like that. But the Astros, they will probably upgrade the bullpen. They saw down the stretch how easy, if they lose one of their top 2 guys, their ship is basically sunk. It's just when you don't have a deep bullpen like the Astros didn't have last year, you didn't have the Ryan Presley and then the Bryan Abreu and Josh Hader like you had in 2024. You had Josh Hader, who's having his best season with the Astros, Bryan Abreu, who's doing great. Then Hader just hit a wall. And I know McCullers could be a bullpen ace. He could be that shutdown guy. But I have all the respect in the world for McCullers. But I want to see him do it. And I want to see him buy into this bulldog personality in the bullpen. Got to come in, shut him down, just throw all the heat. And so can he do that? Can he do that for a full season? I know that he wants to be a starter. He did this for 2025. Is he going to be okay being a reliever in 2026? I'm sure he'll be okay with it. He'll be a highly paid reliever, but he'll still be a reliever. So whoever doesn't make the Astros rotation, this is definitely somebody that's really going to be a big help for the bullpen. But you want depth, and the Astros just don't have that right now. You have 2 main guys, a couple of guys you can maybe count on, but you really need to go out there. I know we're probably going to talk a lot about the Astros getting a starter, maybe getting another outfielder or lefty hitter or something, definitely a backup catcher. But I would say improving the bullpen is key. Just remember all those seasons when the Astros had the lockdown bullpen and how good it was. Just go 5 to 6 innings, give it to the bullpen, see what they can do. You don't have that same confidence. You're like, okay, Kurt, here's the ball. Cover your eyes. Cover your ears. Because it's scary sometimes. He could be good. He could be bad. Ort is the same way. Like, can you really trust some of these guys? Jaden Murray is the guy that really intrigues me. I think this guy is probably going to be maybe the 7th inning guy for Houston Astros if he continues to develop like he did after coming to the Astros. So the question is, do the Astros have enough in-house? The answer for me is no. If they go through this whole offseason and don't add another bullpen piece, I think it's going to be a wasted offseason. It's going to be just like last year when Dana Brown didn't add a starter. Like, yeah, I'm sure he's going to go out there and get some bargain bin basement reliever and somehow turn him into a gold nugget or something. He sometimes does that. That's great. But I would really like the Astros to go out there and get that stud. And do the Astros have room in the budget? Who really knows what they want to do? I know that Jim Crane wants to stay underneath the luxury tax threshold, but if he really, really, really is serious about the window never closing as long as he's the owner, the Astros just got to decide on upgrading something. If you're not going to upgrade the offense, I really think the offense is going to be where they're going to stay. Outside of a backup catcher, don't look for them to go out and get a big piece. Even though the offense was a big struggle 2025, I don't think offense is going to be the big target. I think starting pitching and bullpen is going to be big keys to the offseason. So, guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. When we come back, we're going to look at the massive list of free agent relievers. Can the Astros afford any of these guys? Well, They could probably afford him, but will they pay for him? We'll talk about that next on the Locked On Astros podcast. Guys, there's nothing like catching a ball game live, whether it's the Astros or the Mariners Blue Jays game right now. I'm sure they're excited. One of those teams is about to go to the World Series. The crowd, the chance to see your team in person, but actually getting tickets, sometimes it's a little bit difficult. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. It takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Game Time. That's why Brett uses Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. So whether it's the World Series tickets or ALCS tickets next year when the Astros make it, whatever it takes, zone deals are where you say exactly where you want to sit, and Game Time picks the seats for you, where you don't have to go searching for which seat you want. So it's just faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I bought tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket, go download the Game Time app today. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Go ahead and make us your first listen, like on your way to work, at work, on your way home from work. Just go ahead and help us get to 16,000 subscribers on YouTube. There's a little red button down there. All you have to do is press it, and you help us get there. But before the break, we were talking about free agent relievers, and I have the list. Of course, this list could change. There's also there's non-tenders, there's DFAs, there's always good. This is going to be a rapidly evolving list throughout the whole offseason. But I just want to kind of give you some names that are likely going to be out there. Nick Martinez with the Reds, he made $21 million last year. His market value is about $14 million. He's more of a starting pitcher, but he was kind of a reliever as well. I just don't see the Astros spending that type of money. Edwin Diaz is going to opt out of his $15.5 million deal with the Mets. He's looking to get about $18 million per season. But is he going to get that with the Houston Astros? I don't think that's what the Astros are looking for. David Robertson is 40 years old, still pitching. He's a free agent. Raciel Iglesias, he pitched with the Braves last year. He's 35. His market value is about $8.8 million. You have Kirby Yates, who's still pitching somehow with the Dodgers. He is 38 years old. His market value is about $1.1 million. He made $13 million last year, so he's coming down a little bit. Our old friend Rafael Montero is a free agent. His market value is about $1.1 million. Taylor Rogers is a guy I would go look at. His market value is about $3.5 million. AJ Minter, he's got a player opt-out at $11 million, but he's still with the Mets for right now. Then you have Kenley Jansen, who's 38, $13.6 million. Jose De Leclerc, who's 31.8 years old. He's due to his market value is about 1.1. I could keep on reading all this list, but the name that really stands out to me is Ryan Helsley, who was with the Cardinals, but he got traded to the Mets. But this is a guy that was a former closer. He could be a good addition to the back two. His market value, of course, is $13.6 million. He made $8.2 million last year. He is just 31 years old, so he's not going to be a cheap option, but he's an option that the Astros could go get. He could be a good asset to this bullpen. I know a lot of people are talking about Devin Williams. get him out in New York. Maybe he can regain his excellence that he had with the Brewers, but he is 31 years old. His market value is about 5.7. And then you have a whole bunch of other names. You have Kyle Finnegan, Phil Maton, Paul Sewald. I could keep on reading this whole list. I'm just trying to look at other names on here. Ryan Stanek, Wandy Peralta, Hunter Harvey, who used to be a closer, Sir Anthony Dominguez. There's just so many different names. Ex-Astro, Caleb Ferguson. So there's just a lot of names. So for me to say exactly, I know who the Astros could go out there and sign. I know that Andres Munoz with the Mariners has a club option for $7 million, but I'm sure they're going to pick that up because his market value is $16.5 million. So I don't think they're going to let him go anywhere. But there's a whole bunch of names on this list. I'm not going to read them all. And of course, Hector Neris, if you want to bring Hector Neris back again. But there are some options out there. Unlike the starting rotation, there's not a lot of starters out there. There's some, maybe 10 like impact starters out there that the Astros can maybe afford. But there are a whole bunch of relievers that the Astros could afford. So I think if you really want to get an impact and focus on one area, focus on bullpen. Make your bullpen a strength like it was in, I want to say it was in 2022, 2023. I believe that's when the Astros bullpen was at its best. So there could be other seasons I'm missing, but I just remember the Astros bullpen just being locked down. And I think the focus kind of shifted away from that. Yes, they went out and got Josh Hader, but then they got Josh Hader, Brian Abreu, and traded away Ryan Presley. And then they just didn't really have that dynamic bullpen that they would have wanted. So if you really want to upgrade somewhere, I would say it would be the bullpen. So what do you think? What do y'all think about that? And Emilio says, what offense? You mean the lineup? Yes, theoretically. If healthy, this is a pretty impactful lineup. If Alvarez is out there for a full season, he's going to hit a whole bunch of home runs, theoretically. Jeremy Pena showed what he could do in a full season when he could stay healthy. We don't know what happened with Jose Altuve last year. So Christian Walker, they may trade him for a upgrade in the rotation, maybe in the bullpen, to shed some salary, maybe to make room for Paredes to play first base. But the offense, there's not really much room to upgrade, especially if you want Zach Cole to play. If you want Cam Smith to play, if you still want Jake Myers to play, where are you going to play these guys? The only offense pickup I think they're going to get is a backup catcher. And I hope that they bring back Victor Caratini because there's not many quality catchers out there. So that's why I think that they're going to put most of their assets into pitching because the pitching was not terrible last year. They didn't fall short of the playoffs because of the pitching. Of course, it was the offense, but they just don't have a lot of room to grow with the offense. Do you hear what I'm saying? But they do have some room to grow, especially if Framber Valdez goes elsewhere. That's a big loss. Despite his mental issues and breakdowns and complaining about the defense and then whatever happened with Cesar Salazar and him, we don't really know what happened. We do, but we don't talk about that. He was a good pitcher when he was on. He was that second ace. Who's your second ace right now? Christian Javier? He was good one game, terrible the next game. Jason Alexander? Are you really going to put that much faith in him? Yeah, he looked pretty good. But is that the guy you want starting game 2 of the season? Spencer Arrighetti, he could be that guy in a couple years, but I think he's still got to work on his game. So that's why bullpen, pitching, I think is going to be their big strength. Offense is an issue. We know. But there's no room to grow. So maybe we'll talk some more offense tomorrow and talk about what the Astros can do, maybe upgrade at first base or do something to fix things. Like I know Christian Walker had one of his worst seasons as a MLB player. But guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go and subscribe to us. Go and make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, go and check us out. And while you're checking us out, go and check out Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. From MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Brett and I will be back tomorrow, and hopefully, well, I guess we can't be talking about Astros victory, but maybe we'll be talking about a Mariners loss. We'll see you tomorrow, and go Stars.